Good morning, Lansing Journal readers and subscribers. We are on location yet again today. Melanie is behind the camera, and I am joined today by Dave Meter of South Suburban Heating and Air Conditioning. Dave, thanks for taking some time to speak to us.
No, good morning. I'm happy to do it.
We want to let you get back to running your award-winning business as soon as possible, and we're going to get to those awards in just a minute. But first, can you kind of give us the lay of the land? What is South Suburban Heating and Air? What are you guys about? What do you do?
Sure. Thank you, Josh. We're a full-service heating and cooling business. Actually, HVAC, heating, ventilation, air conditioning business. We have a full sheet metal shop where we fabricate sheet metal for jobs. We've been in business almost 70 years. Family owned and operated. My two brothers currently have owned the company for about 25 years or so.
Okay.
In this region, we have a solid presence.
Yeah.
Just supplying people with heating and cooling, and whether it's repair, new installations, new construction. We try not to have all our eggs in one basket.
Yeah. So you said this region. You're located in Lansing.
Yep.
They're just north of the highway in Lansing. You serve Lansing. What's kind of your reach? What towns do you serve?
Sure. Well, it changes, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the people from this area, which I would consider our region, have been starting to move towards Indiana.
Sure.
But also over the years, we've had lots and lots of customers in the Orland-Tinley area.
Okay.
So it's almost like three separate regions or areas that we service. Northwest Indiana, probably as far as up to Maryville.
Okay.
That's a little bit far. We've done new construction jobs a little slightly beyond that. But mostly right here, you would say, is our hub.
Okay.
And then we do have hundreds of customers in the Orland-Tinley area, New Lenox, Mokina, that kind of thing.
So you mentioned you and your brothers. I know that the business has a lot of family ties and there's a lot of history there. Can you kind of walk us through a little bit of that and how it came to be at where it's at today?
Sure. South Suburban Heating and Air Conditioning was probably, if this is the story as far as I know, about 5 years old or so. My uncle worked there. It was over in Dalton on 142nd Street. That's kind of where I grew up in the business. But my uncle had worked for two couples who owned South Suburban Heating at the time. And my dad worked somewhere else. My uncle was more on the service side, and my dad was, back then you call him a tin knocker.
Okay.
And they were going to go out of business. So my uncle approached my father, and they successfully kind of bought it, took it over, whatever, made deals with suppliers to stay in business, and we've been successful ever since, actually.
And it's you and your two brothers?
Two brothers.
Okay.
My uncle has passed. It's probably at least 10 years now.
Okay.
And my dad's still alive.
Okay.
Yeah, he's completely out of the business now.
All right.
But it is the three brothers. And we did have our oldest sister who worked for us in the office, and she's been retired for a couple of years now.
Okay. So beyond the family folks, how many other employees do you have roughly?
Well, right now we're at 11.
Okay.
We've been higher than that in the past, but we're at a good solid number for service techs, installation, that type of thing.
Okay.
There's room for a little bit of growth, but we're seasonal. So, when you're slower
Right.
time of year, which this time of year tends to be a little slower, it's hard to keep everybody busy.
Okay. Now, Dave, you've been in the Lansing Journal before. There's a sponsored content article that we'll link to below that I was struck reading that article again this morning about your emphasis on quality versus price, that South Suburban Heating and Air is committed to quality, committed to the customer experience, customer service, even if that comes at a slightly higher price tag. Can you kind of explain that mentality a little bit and how that impacts what you do here?
Yeah, sure. At a higher price tag isn't because, and I'm not saying you said that, but it's not because we want to charge more and make more money.
Right.
It just costs more.
Right.
It costs more to run business nowadays, and unfortunately a lot of companies, contractors, don't realize that. We rarely put in basic equipment because really that's not what people want. We're all about helping. And really, if I come to the kitchen table, I want to stress, how can I help you?
Yeah.
I'm not here to try and sell you something that you don't want or need, but if I can at least walk through the possibilities of what's available today, it just makes for a more comfortable situation, and people do tend to buy better than what they had maybe thought.
Sure.
Because they didn't realize that technologies were available or what have you.
Right.
And good is not cheap.
Right.
And cheap is not good.
Right.
You know, so there's a lot of phrases I can use at the kitchen table, but it's all reality.
Yeah.
You get what you pay for. As a consumer, we know that, right?
And I imagine even more so in HVAC. Like, it's not like you're choosing this alarm clock versus this alarm clock, right? You're choosing really. You want a quality HVAC system for your house.
Absolutely.
Right?
And even if you had the exact same alarm clock, right?
Yeah.
But mine was $2 more. Maybe there's benefits of if that alarm clock ever breaks,
Right.
you take it back and give you another one.
Sure.
Not
Right.
saying you do that with furnaces necessarily.
Right. Right.
But it's all about proper installation,
Mm.
reliable products, and standing behind it.
Mm.
And that's really what people want. Some people, they want price. We're probably not a good fit for them.
Sure.
If they just want to base it on price.
So with that mentality, what ends up being kind of your target market? Is it mostly residential? Is it mostly commercial? Is it a good mix of both? What does it end up being?
It's a
for
great
you?
mix of both.
Okay.
Right now, we're kind of busy in commercial new construction. I have my youngest brother, Gary. He runs all of that. He makes the proposals, gets the work, manages the work. He's very busy right now. And sometimes when he's busy, I'm not, which is more selling the residential kitchen table. But again, I mentioned we are seasonal.
Yeah.
And so since we're seasonal, your spring, which is coming right around the corner, and then your fall is your biggest time of year because we are a heating climate.
Yeah. Right.
So it just, that's the thing about not having all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
You know, you can kind of balance out the year with it.
Right.
And then maintenance for the service techs and your off seasons, you know, your slower times, you can do a lot of that too. So. And over here we have some commercial hoods. We're continually getting things in and then going right back out the door for different jobs. Heating, cooling equipment. Every now and then we'll get a water heater. And we have a whole section for replacement filters and grills and that type of thing. So it's a scattered mess right now, but we know everything is.
Organized chaos is.
Yeah, organized chaos. We know where everything.
So we're about to see it in action.
Rick Meter.
Rick Meter, brother of Dave, who we've been talking to. Rick, what are you doing right now?
I am making sheet metal fittings for install jobs.
Okay.
With any furnace, air conditioning jobs we install, usually there's some sheet metal jobs that need to be made up, and so the installers can do a good, proper job.
So these pieces don't just happen by themselves. Rick is the man. You're the guy.
Custom made.
Custom made.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see the expertise at work. That's why he's got earphones on, otherwise he'd go deaf. Now we can't end our interview without mentioning the awards that you have received.
Yeah.
Now, am I wrong in saying that in the last 25 years you've received an award every year for your service or for something related to South Suburban?
Sure, and maybe beyond that.
Okay.
I know that from 1997 on, we've received at least 2 awards, sometimes up to 5, for American Standard.
Okay.
That's the brand that we represent.
Okay. So what are those awards for exactly?
Customer service.
Okay.
And American Standard has a program called Customer Care that we've received that top award. In fact, we're a charter member of the program for Customer Care.
Okay.
And we've received that top award every year. We're not the only contractor in Chicagoland that receives that award for
Sure.
customer care,
Sure.
but your top dealers will get those awards.
Okay.
And then we've had Dealer of the Year a couple of times, different awards for commercial or, indoor air quality products, whatever it might be. And all we're trying to do is help people.
Yeah.
And then you end up at the end of the year receiving something. And we're pretty grateful.
So which are the most recent that you've had, and can you show us? Do you have
Yes.
them
Yeah, I got them right here. I just happen to have them right now. These are the two awards that we do receive consistently throughout the year. 2021 Distinguished Dealer Award, that's for your top dealers at volume, but then also quality.
Okay.
Like they say, paying your bills all the time. And
Sure.
there's a lot of factors that weigh into that. And then here's your Customer Care Excellence Award.
Okay.
Okay, and that's typically having a certain number of ratings and level of ratings and making sure that we're taking care of the customers.
So customer care, can you think of an example in the last couple of years that really you can point to and say that kind of service in that house or in that business is why we get this award?
Yeah, there's again, it's standing behind what you do, but it allows you to go a step further if needed. So there have been examples where a unit can be a year old, could be 5 years old. If it's had issues, and we recently had probably a furnace that we might send a service tech 3, 4, 5 times. Can't figure out exactly what's wrong, because a lot of times when the tech goes there, the furnace knows and starts working again.
Sure, right.
And it's hard to fix things that aren't broken. And when you just want to come up with a final solution and you've checked everything else, we just put a new furnace in. Take
Okay.
it out and put a brand new one in, same thing, no cost to the homeowner. That's part of customer care excellence. Standing behind what you do, which I think, like I mentioned before, is really a priority for us.
So we're transitioning from kind of winter into summer. We're at the point almost where one day you might be tempted to turn on your AC, the next day you might want to turn on your heat.
Exactly.
What is something that a homeowner can do at this point in the season to really increase the longevity of their system and do some good maintenance?
Yeah, absolutely, and I can't stress enough, change your filter.
Okay.
Change your filter regularly. It depends on what type of filter you have, as far as how often. Also can depend on your lifestyle as to how often you need to change your filter, but it's key and a priority. We've been into homes, the service tech will go into a home and there's no filter even in place because it was dirty and they took it out.
Right.
And that's not the right thing to do, because what you're doing is you're protecting your system. You're not trying to clean the air you're breathing necessarily, you're trying to protect your system. And if you can keep your filter clean regularly, as often as it needs to be, make sure there's no obstructions around your air conditioner. If you decide to cover it in the fall, make sure you take that cover off before you turn it back on. And just kind of take a visual inspection. But the very best thing is to sign up for our annual maintenance program. And we'll come out twice a year, go over all your system, make sure it's tip-top shape, clean, operating as efficiently as it can. Maybe even diagnose things that might be looking like they're going to fail, because when do they fail? When it's hot, and when it's cold.
Yep.
And we don't like that.
Right.
So as we call it, preventative maintenance, can't prevent it from failing,
Right.
but it's actually saving energy too. So the money you invest, you can kind of get back some of that back in your pocket.
Very cool. So we'll include a link to their website below. We'll include a link to that previous story that I mentioned below. Dave, thank you. This was a lot of fun.
It was my pleasure, sir, and I appreciate you guys coming by.
Absolutely. We will see you next week.